28, I might get arrested for that.
It also just feels weird.
It does, but like it was whimsical.
Yeah.
There was some whimsy in the world.
Now I'm curious, and I don't want to push you in a place that might get you hot water.
So I think we might have to do a video on the Lindsay Clancy thing.
Who is Lindsay Clancy again?
She is the woman who is currently on trial for the alleged murder of her 3 children.
Right. I would imagine there's a lot of people that probably have heard of that, maybe not necessarily her name.
Yeah, so this has been, if you're on TikTok and Instagram, and obviously if you're watching us, you probably do watch some true crime. So this has probably come across your feed. It's been a lot on Facebook, I will say that, which makes sense.
How old is Lindsay and the husband?
Lindsay is 36 years old. And initially when this first came out, when it first came out was 2023. When I first started to actually hear about it was a month ago, because I guess they're getting the actual full trial is now underway, whereas before that it was a lot of the pre-trial setup stuff. She has pled not guilty. Now the accusation is that she, at the very least, after her husband left the house. No, I'll just go through the story. Basic gist of it is this. Lindsay Clancy is married to Patrick Clancy. Okay. They have 3 children together. I cannot
write this down.
Yeah. Those 3 children's names are Dawson, Cora, and Kawa? Something like that. It's along those lines. Dawson was a boy. I think the other 2 were girls.
Okay.
And between the ages of, I think, 8 years and 8 months, off the top of my head, somewhere in there. So so what happens here is that Lindsay is at home with Patrick and the kids. She asks Patrick if he can run to the store to pick something up and then go to like CVS to pick up a prescription or something. Now she does have a psychiatrist. She has been placed on lots of medications, probably too many medications if we're being honest.
Do we know roughly how many?
I heard a number as high as 30.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if that's stuff she was prescribed over the last 10 to 12 years, and they've been, okay, well, we're going to try Ativan and Zoloft. That's what I had for anxiety. All right, well, that didn't work. Let's try, we like the effect of the Ativan. Let's switch that out for the Zoloft out for Lexapro. Like, let's, mix and match, see what we can get, what works. But the thing about those drugs is, every time we see an ad for drugs, it's like, Wee Rizzy, cure your hemorrhoids, may cause death. And it's like,
I'll deal with the hemorrhoids.
I'm okay with the hemorrhoids, man.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot that goes into drugs, and there's the drug interactions. And of course, I don't know if she was switching between multiple different psychologists or psychiatrists, but if you're switching up the medications, or if one thing was, say you're on 5 and you swap out 4 of them over the course of 5 years. 5 years in, you're doing really well, but then something happens and they go, all right, well, let's try taking out that first one that you were on for 5 years, and that was the one holding it all together. And suddenly it all crumbles. And having been on Lexapro and Zoloft and Ativan and all of those drugs for anxiety, look, I don't have the raw numbers to back this up, but I think the reason that we had an increase in school shootings might have something to do with over-medicating our boys on everything, SSRIs, benzodiazepines, ADD medications. Like, we've just been pumping young boys. I think like 1 in 4 American boys has been getting pumped full of amphetamines since they were a child. That's
bound to have some negative externalities at the very least.
Yeah. So when we look at the way medications work, what she did next could have been a result of a cocktail of medicines having a negative side effect. That could have been it.
Yeah.
And what she did next was after her husband left the house, she, I believe this was one by one, went and got each of the kids, brought them down to the basement into their father's office, and strangled them with an exercise band. Which I want to really lay something down for people here. What you see on TV and in movies with strangulation, no. You ever been choked? You ever been in a fight where somebody was choking you? You last a long time. I mean, granted, me getting in a fight with you, either one of us is going to be able to come out on top there. Like, we're similarly built, even if I'm taller.
It's kind of just luck of the draw.
Yeah.
Who gets in a certain hit at a certain time.
The reason I'm going to try and get you in a headlock is to control your body. It's not to, it's not to try and choke you out. Like that doesn't. You might get unconscious after 2 or 3 minutes.
Well, I will say.
How long can you think about it this way? How long can you hold your breath underwater?
Yeah.
If you can hold your breath underwater, like, and I'm not talking about, like how long before it becomes uncomfortable. I'm talking like until it's excruciating, you gotta come up for air. Even at that point, you got 30 more seconds.
There is, though, I will say, like the technical rear naked choke like methodology, or realistically anything on the sides of the
Blocks
neck.
off the blood flow to the brain and
Yeah,
makes you pass out that way. Yeah.
That'll happen a lot faster because, like,
Yes.
I've had that happen to me, and I was out within 5 or 6 seconds.
Yeah.
So
There are ways that you can knock somebody unconscious first, but that's the thing, is that's what I was getting to, is if somebody's fighting you, they can last 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah.
If they're able to keep your hands away from their carotid. But unconscious on a child being strangled with an exercise band, under 3 minutes. Dead. We're talking that pressure has to be continuously applied until brain death. So that's probably at least another 3 to 6 minutes. We're talking about 10 to 15 minutes per victim here of strangulation. And that's not one of those crimes that, like, probably the least personal way to kill somebody is with a gun. Maybe a bomb, but a lot more effort goes into the bomb. Like, what gun is used to kill the most people who don't know each other? It's guns. Like, deliberately.
What weapon is used?
Yeah, what weapon is used to kill the most people intentionally who you don't know?
Yeah.
It's going to be guns.
Yep.
And that's for a number of reasons. One of them is that it's a lot safer. But also, it's impersonal. You didn't touch the person you killed. You pulled a mechanism on a tool, something left that tool, entered another person's body, and they died. You still did it. The gun didn't shoot anybody. The gun can't shoot anybody. You shot somebody using the gun. But there's that element of distance from it. That starts to go away as you get towards other things. Obviously, like mass casualty things are a different thing entirely. Like if you're going to gas a suburban mall. But you go down to stabbing. Well, stabbing's a lot more personal. And then we start to get some of the psychology of the criminal in how a stabbing goes. You can get this with a gun, too. If somebody shoots somebody with a gun once and then dips, that's probably... I'm not going to say it's probably impersonal, but it suggests that the killer is not emotionally... is controlled by their logical brain, not their emotional brain. Whereas, say it's, or it could also indicate what kind of crime. Say it's somebody they don't know, somebody they do know. If it's somebody they do know and they go and they shoot them once, well, it was probably, you threw my dog into a lake. I don't know. Like, you stole money from me. I'm pissed at you. I'm angry at you, but I'm not like, I'm cold and calculated about this.
There's orders of magnitude of malice. Like that could be reactionary or, kind of low level. 2 or 3 means they're probably a professional and they're making sure the job's done. 30 shots in someone's torso or, back.
Yeah.
Generally indicative of a very emotional crime.
Broad strokes, I guess what I'm trying to say here is single shot, probably impersonal. More than one shot, could be personal. Could have been a gunfight. There are a number of other options here. Lots of bullet holes. That person was pissed. So you can kind of track the amount of emotionality involved. But that's the other thing too, is like, that's one profile point.
Yep. That needs to be cross-referenced with other ones. Yeah.
It's like, as we know on this channel, one profile point does not a strange case make.
No.
But with Lindsay, that's kind of what I'm getting to here is, strangulation is probably... I personally would say I think that's probably the most, like, personal and involved way to kill somebody.
Yeah.
Is strangulation.
At that point, it's theoretically even more involved in, like, drowning someone. Because when water fills the lungs and they pass out, it's hard to get that water out. Strangulation, like, when you stop and there's not full brain death.
Their brain immediately starts breathing again.
Yes, exactly. And
that's the thing I think a lot of... I don't know that it's necessarily consequential to the total argument about Lindsay from the side that is supporting her. Get into that in a second. It's not the total argument, but that is one of those things that there's like, these little bits and pieces of arguments here and there that you need to look at it. It's not one thing. It's not that one thing that proves it, that she had to strangle those people for more than 5 minutes at the very least, if we're going to be generous, and that's a long time. That is a long time. to apply pressure to something. So that's, anywhere between 15 and 45 minutes that she spent doing this. Child after child after child. And then, if I'm not mistaken, she jumped out a window? And her husband came home from running the errands to find her out in the yard, near hypothermic. And then he asked where the kids were, and she said in the basement, but didn't tell him that she had done what she did. He gets down to the basement. He's on the phone with 911, and I would not recommend listening to the 911 call. It's not that anything violent happens. It's not that there's, gory descriptions or anything.
Why would you want to listen to somebody in that much pain?
Yeah. This is a man who is literally, like, his entire world has just fallen apart in the span of 5 minutes. And so, obviously he knew she killed them. Or at least that was his position on it. He divorced her. She was charged with murder of the 3 kids. And then over the last, I guess, 4 years now-ish, this was December 2023, so I guess more like almost 3. I think it was December. Might have been January. Having a hard time remembering, honestly. Anyway, her case, she pled not guilty. Her case has been kind of a mixed bag of things. But the general argument, from what I understand, is that her defense is leaning more on a temporary insanity plea. Not a plea at this point. Obviously, the trial's undergoing, but it seems like maybe that's what they were angling for, and maybe they're going to try and angle for that with the jury.
Yeah, they're at least using that as their primary means of defense.
Yeah. I don't know. Personally, I think I understand why they went with first degree. I don't think you needed to.
For the prosecutors?
Yeah.
Yeah, this brings up a really interesting topic that I don't know if we've ever covered on this show. I think we might have briefly at one point in the past, but I really don't understand prosecutors who will go for the highest level of possible, I don't know what the proper terminology is, attack or prosecution.
Sentence. Maximum sentence.
When, for example, I would imagine...
charge.
Yeah, charge. That's it. I don't know why they go for the highest possible charge in given situations when second degree would probably be a slam dunk.
That's kind of where I'm at with it. I think this is a winnable case for the prosecution.
Mm-hmm.
Second would have been a slam dunk.
Yeah.
Second's a slam dunk. And it still gets you, I think second degree voluntary manslaughter, second degree murder, is still 15 to 25 minimum.
I understand that emotionality comes into play with it, but at the same time, lawyers are some of the least emotional people in their jobs. And it's weird to me. It's like, unless you're just personally trying to make a name for yourself and do a first degree murder trial, or because you're trying to get attention to it, why would you not want the win? Because first degree is a lot harder to prove than second degree. And in a situation like this, trying to prove, because isn't essentially the defining difference between first and second degree the level of premeditation?
Yes, I believe, and this is me going back to criminal justice class in high school. I believe first degree is intentional, premeditated. You sat down, decided you were going to kill somebody, and then went and did it.
Mm-hmm.
I believe second degree is that it occurred in the process of you didn't go out that day with the intention of killing somebody, but you did then intentionally kill somebody.
I feel like
and then third degree doesn't always exist, from what I understand. It can basically just be interchange in a lot of places. They interchange it with voluntary manslaughter, and that's usually crime of passion.
Yeah,
that's how that's described. Is you came home, you found your wife cheating on you, and you shot the guy she was cheating with. That's second degree.
Yeah,
that's a prosecutor would be stupid to go for first degree there, because you're going to win on the technicality that it wasn't premeditated.
Yeah.
And again, obviously these are all very broad strokes things. I'm sure the lawyers know what they're doing.
Yeah, it just surprises me because sometimes I've seen cases where it probably would have been a slam dunk as a second degree, but the defendant gets off because they went for a higher charge.
I've seen cases
didn't have as much evidence to support their claims.
I've seen a few cases, I can't remember the names off the top of my head, but over the years of cases where that happened, where the prosecution overcharged because they didn't want the conviction.
Yeah.
Where it's, and this is not like usually big stuff. This is usually like, let's say small town Wisconsin dad, his, what was I talking about?
Small town Wisconsin dad in a case where they overdid the charge.
Yeah, overdid the charge. Yeah, so like small town dad in Wisconsin finds out that his daughter's a cheerleader, finds out the football coach has been molesting her or something like that after practice, and then goes to the football coach's house and shoots him. Say there's evidence of it. Everybody knows this was actually happening, but for some reason nothing was being done about it. That's a situation where sometimes we see that smaller communities might go, I didn't see nothing. Mm-hmm. Or alternatively, that's like jury nullification, or basically the jury just saying, no, I'm not convinced. Sorry, can't do it. Like Ken Rex McElroy, who was a guy who like half the town saw him murdered, and everybody saw it happen, and nobody identified his killer.
That's nuts.
Nobody nobody was willing to. None of the jurors were willing to, be like, yeah, this was murder. It was just, nope, this wasn't a murder. Nothing happened. The gun just did that, or the knife. I actually don't know how he was killed.
Yeah.
But cases like that where sometimes you'll see that they'll either neglect to charge or they'll overcharge to put the jury in a position where it's kind of like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Mm-hmm. This doesn't seem like one of those cases. Now, Clancy's defense has been, from what I understand, because I only just started really digging into this because I was seeing how crazy some of it's been getting. Her defense was that one of the defenses is that she was on a cocktail of drugs that might have interacted in such a way that it made her act irrationally, that she had postpartum psychosis. Oh, this is the other thing, is there's the defense, which is saying she killed them, but she wasn't in her right mind. Mm-hmm. That she basically insanity plea.
That's about the only defense you could have at that point.
Yes. Somehow, and this was like the clouds opening moment for me, as I'm seeing all of these people look at all of the evidence that Lindsay Clancy killed these children, and her not even denying that she did it, just the defense saying she wasn't in her right mind. Light bulb moment, brain blast, like, this is why Candace Owens is popular. It's not just Tyler Robinson. There's a significant chunk of the internet, primarily white women, who are like this. And it's not about Tyler Robinson and Charlie Kirk. It's not about Lindsay Clancy and her kids. It's not about Casey Anthony and her daughter. It's about that, like, there must be a conspiracy. There must be a conspiracy here. Like, somebody's trying to hide something. The government would never tell us the truth. Like, and I don't know why that is. I don't know why so many of them gravitate towards Candace, but it made sense to me suddenly. I'm like, oh, okay. So the reason that all of this stuff with Tyler Robinson is happening right now, despite the abundant evidence that it was almost certainly him, mm-hmm. And the total lack of evidence that it was anybody else.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I wish they'd focus on with that case is like, where's the evidence that it was somebody else? Where's that?
There's a phenomenon that I don't know if it has a name, mm-hmm. but it's something I have routinely seen, where people are more than willing to assume that there is a tyrannical force, whether an individual or a group of individuals, mm-hmm. that are in charge of everything, because for whatever reason, that is far less scary mm-hmm. than the idea that actually the world is chaos. Yeah. And all variables are running independently from each other with minute levels of coordination between every one of them.
And the scariest one is the reality, which is that it's organized chaos.
Well, that's the thing is like, but that's where it is. It's like we tend to believe there is more organization than there is.
Yeah, definitely.
Because the reality of the situation is that there's generally more chaos than mm-hmm. order. And I think when you live a life that's complicated, like you and I do in particular, you very rapidly begin to realize just how insane it is to assume that anyone has control mm-hmm. over anything, like especially the world, let alone a given country.
Run a business with 5 employees and then come back and tell us that there's a secret cabal of like 50 people running the world.
There is no way enough things go right to be able to run the world. Yeah. It's not feasible.
It's basically taking the show The Blacklist.
Yeah.
And pretending it's real life.
Yeah.
And I will say this. The Cabal storyline in that show, I think probably, I wouldn't say it jumped the shark. I think it was done well.
Yeah.
But I think you have to suspend disbelief a little bit.
Yeah, it overplayed its hand a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the idea that there are some people in the criminal underworld and some people in the government overworld who are working together on things, and that the government uses criminals to attack other criminals, and that criminals use the government to attack other criminals, and, criminals use criminals to attack the government.
That's just true.
All of that stuff's real.
Yeah, we have historical documentation of that happening.
Yeah, that's all happening out there, and it's happening absurdly frequently.
But they're not all on the same page.
Exactly.
And they're frequently
That's the
fighting
thing.
each other.
It's not that the president is sitting there with his cabinet like, all right, what's the plan? Which cartel are we having take out the, Canadian maple syrup mafia? It's not that. It's, some criminal has a lead on a job he just can't pull off, so he sells it to somebody who's got, a little bit more ability, and then that person maybe, they have a rival that they want to take out of the game, and so what they do is they go to the person who sold it to and they say, hey, actually, no, sell it to them, and then they call the cops. Like, we're not looking at grand conspiracies necessarily, but like at that low level, not all criminals are idiots. The ones who are in jail, more idiots there. The ones who aren't in jail are the ones who aren't getting caught. And how are they not getting caught? Well, they're smart.
Yeah, they're good at what they do.
Yeah. And obviously not everybody in jail is an idiot. People are in jail for all sorts of reasons. And when you start looking at white collar crime instead of like the low level stuff, that changes.
Yep.
Then suddenly you got really smart people in prison who just happen to get screwed by somebody else.
Well, that's the epitome of the situation is like you can't plan for everything.
No.
Even some of the best white collar criminals get caught because you cannot control enough variables to assure that everything is going to go according to plan every time.
Not Warren Buffett. The other guy, the Ponzi scheme guy.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we know him as the Ponzi scheme guy.
Yes.
So Bernie Madoff.
That's it.
Made off everybody's money. You look at that. That was a really smart guy who just he got too ambitious, got too greedy. It's the ones who are controlled and measured and patient that are the people who you're going to be seeing involved in stuff with governments, whether they are militias or cartels or gangs, mafias, whatever. But we have criminal informants. Like these are real things. There are moles in the FBI. Like, this does happen. It's actually a really cool kind of thing to like stepping outside of it and pretending it doesn't affect my life. It's actually kind of a really cool thing that's happening. This interplay between law and chaos and how they work off of one another.
It is like an organism.
Yeah.
Like the way in which the social stratas function in different levels of society, all interacting with each other in many ways that they don't realize, all independently, but also at the same time collectively toward a goal. But the thing is, that goal is never predetermined.
Yeah.
That goal is just an outcome of the various individual decisions that are made by any given person at any given time.
We're basically just nuclei floating in a slime mold.
Pretty much.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, but and whether that nuclei lives or dies is not determined by one individual or group of individuals. It's what we learned in poli-sci in college, specifically like foreign relations, was something called a collective action problem. And it takes everybody doing the same thing consistently in order to move any given force even a step ahead.
Right.
So like voting is a collective action problem where each individual vote counts, but at the same time, if
at the individual level, it really doesn't.
Well, that's the thing, yeah.
It only matters once there's scale.
Exactly, and that's the problem is when your individual vote actually doesn't really count, but at the same time, all of the votes count at once. How do you, A, motivate somebody to vote, and at the same time, motivate them not to vote if you don't want them to vote a way that you don't want to vote? And that's the thing is it's less about the individual action. It's more about finding a way to, the best word for it is manipulate the collective individual actions into one direction. And that's why campaign contributions are important. That's why advertising is important.
CIA does it with color revolutions.
Yeah.
They'll go into other countries and just organize culture against the government.
Yeah. And so that's where like your individual vote technically matters, but in the grand scale doesn't unless you then convert like 1,000 other votes to your perspective.
Yeah, it really influences it. I mean, the fact that elections are basically just influencer stuff now is insane to me. I hate it. Yep. I wish that we had a way to reform it, but I don't know that we do. So I don't know. But the point of all of this is that, you look at stuff like that. You look at like the WEF. Everybody looked at the WEF back in the 2010s, and they were like, "Oh my God, they're secretly running the world." And it's like, no, what they are is an organization made up of all the people who are running the world. Mm-hmm. There's no secret here. This is all the people running the world going and meeting up with each other and saying, "What are we gonna do?"
Yep.
But there's no they're not like the Schwab or whatever his name isn't, like calling up Trump after the meeting, being like, "Donald, you must keep up the blockade on Iran. It is vastly increasing our oil prices. Yeah. The people will switch to the EVs. Yeah." He's not doing that.
There are
what he's doing.
That.
Yeah, what they're doing at these conferences, they're sitting together, having dinner, they're doing public speaking events, they're going to private clubs, they're hanging out with each other, they're talking, they're chatting about stuff. And that's basically bohemian growth.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's these people get together, they're already in positions of power. That's the important part. These are already CEOs, politicians, people who run major banks, things like that. The IMF has a seat at the table. Like, there's all these people going in there. It's not governmental, but it's all the governments. So it's, yeah, when they go to the WEF and they say you're going to own nothing and be happy, there wasn't some grand conspiracy working behind the scenes on that, in the sense that people were meeting wearing robes in a secret underground chamber and, chanting to Satan. It's a bunch of politicians and tech executives got together and went, "Hey, what can we do for you guys," the tech executives, "what can we do for you guys in exchange for you helping us to structure the economy in such a way that everybody is subscribing rather than buying? Will you get in our way if we do that?" And that's probably what's happening. Is, some guy sitting there, he's from Netflix, and he's like, "Hey, so we really want to say," honestly, I can't think of a good example for this, of like a specific thing. But guy at Netflix is like, "Hey, we..."
You could use the oil lobby. You could essentially say, "Hey,
yeah.
Our oil prices are looking like they're going to project to go down in the next 10 years, but we can't have that because we need our profits to go up. So what if you campaign on the fact that wind turbines actually kill birds?"
Better example.
So a lot of other people that think that they're conservationists are actually going to go against wind and solar because they're bad for the environment more so than good. And then you see oil trend starts to go up because more drilling is allowed, because it's actually not that bad for the environment. That's where you get things like natural gas as opposed to methane. That's why a lot of these things happen. And I mean, like, there's a documented history of the oil lobby doing that. Whether you believe in certain elements of it is immaterial to the fact that they have been documented in attempting to mislead the public in order to raise their profits. That's all they're interested in doing. That's what any business wants to do in basically the entire world.
And the governments are doing it too. It's the same thing. The government, like, better Netflix example, politician goes to Netflix and says, "Hey, we really need to sway public opinion in favor of, let's say, getting rid of the national parks. We need you guys, I need you guys to help me turn public sentiment against the national parks." And then Netflix goes, "All right, well, I mean, we could make people think that they're full of, homeless people and monsters and, illegal grows, and that, I mean, if we, I guess we could make some shows, we could do a documentary, we could put some stuff out there, but what's in it for us?" And that guy goes, "All right, well, when you guys try to acquire fucking, Tubi next year, we're not going to get in your way." Something like that. These, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And in that sense, like, yeah, there's a conspiracy.
But that's also just business.
It's like the WEF conspiracy is not a conspiracy so much as it's like, some people are looking at it and going, that organization runs the world. And it's like, no, the people who run that organization run the world. Well, also which is a meaningful difference.
And also at the same time, the vast majority of the people that supposedly run the world are not doing it in order to make decisions to run the world. What they're doing is they're trying to increase their profits.
Yeah.
The only decisions they're making generally are to find ways to increase profits or to prevent themselves from having to pay more taxes.
Yeah. Basically to maintain wealth or power.
Yes.
One of the two. So, like, when you look at these things, sometimes it really is that there's just a group of bad people together, and they're doing bad things without there having been any plan when they arrived to do bad things. So that's not me saying that there's nothing weird about the WAF or that I like it or that it's a good thing. I think it's terrible. I think it's basically a quasi anti-UN in a weird way. Not that I'm saying the UN does good things either. They're also a mess.
And that's the problem, because you can't orchestrate order on that scale.
No, well, you're trying to get a whole bunch of cultures and religions and like histories to come together that just don't.
Well, and that's the other thing too, is that we're all assuming that each individual country is run by rational actors.
They're
but
not.
like Putin's a prime example. If he was a rational actor, he would not be doing a number of the things he's doing because it's actually being detrimental to him and his nation. He probably wouldn't still be in Ukraine. He's not there for logical reasons.
Yeah.
He's there for emotional reasons that he is justifying through a massaged logic of his own devotion and cultivation.
Yeah. But I mean, you talk to people about it who are maybe, kind of casually paying attention, or they're just really deep down the conspiracy rabbit hole, and the whole thing is it's people are running everything, and there's some order behind the scenes, and then of course you have to figure out who that is, and it's the Freemasons or the Jews or the Jesuits or whatever.
You have to realize the best way I can describe it is the world is not run by a bunch of people playing 4D chess. The world is run by a bunch of people playing checkers. Most of them are only concerned about one objective at a time, maybe 2 hops.
Yeah.
They are not thinking 16 trillion steps ahead.
At the very most, it's 3D checkers, which is, 3D chess, which is just normal chess.
Yes. And that's the thing is because the reason why they're not focused insanely far on specific futures is because everyone in those positions recognizes that there is not enough stability in future planning to be able to assume you are capable of organizing things that far in advance.
And also, these people are the ones who are, if anybody, capable of doing those things. The average person's not. So I think for a lot of people, like you said earlier, it's easier to believe in order than chaos, or it's more comfortable. I think it's also easier.
Yeah.
I think it's easier to sit there and go, no, the world's not messed up because everything is moving away from each other and towards each other at the same time. The world's messed up because there's a group of evil people, and if we can just find those evil people and take them out, everything's going to be fine again. And I think it's that idea of there being a mission. If we can just convince enough people, if we can show enough people the truth, if we can get enough of a spotlight on the story, everybody will suddenly start to see it. And I think that's kind of what's going on with the Lindsay Clancy thing too.
Yeah.
Is it's like there's not actual evidence to it. But for a lot of these people who are looking at the story, it's a lot easier for them to come to grips with the explanation that the husband did it and then pinned it on the wife.
So what is the supposed evidence or position of people who believe that the husband did it?
So I'm going to do 2 things here. First, I'm going to talk about the actual defense, and then I'm going to go into the internet conspiracy theory. The actual defense has been arguing that her drugs were messing with her. She had postpartum psychosis, and that she had been trying to get help for a long time. The prosecution has basically come out and said she wasn't on the medication. She didn't. The examiner said she didn't have PPP, and she. What are we doing here? Like, what's and we have the fingerprints. We know she was down there. Like, what? So I think the defense, like I said, I think is really reaching to get the jury to look at this as not first degree murder and vote not to convict for that reason. So I think the defense right now is just trying to sow reasonable doubt. They know there's no smoking gun in this case that proves she's somehow innocent. That just doesn't exist unless somebody broke into the home. But there doesn't appear to be any evidence of that. So they're basically trying to put reasonable doubt into the jury. That's their goal. Is it possible Lindsay Clancy really did have postpartum psychosis and that's what caused this? On the other hand, there's things like apparently her search history shows her looking up things like can sociopathy be treated, and something about killing kids and how long it takes to suffocate, and like hypothermia. I mean, all these different things that are in her search history, and it's like,
well, knowing that,
yeah,
it's actually not as hard to plan or do a charge of first-degree murder as I thought it was going to be.
No, which might be why they did it.
Yeah.
They might have been looking at that and been like, there's the premeditation.
Yep.
There's the proof that she did not just snap.
Yep.
And the defense will probably argue that she snapped a long time ago, and it's just been getting worse and worse, and nobody noticed. And and I'll go into Patrick because that's a good bridge over to the other thing. The thing with Patrick is that, so far as I understand, he has been incredibly attentive to his wife, or at least had been up until this all happened. That he was going to doctor's appointments with her, that he was making sure she was taking her meds, that she was, getting the help she needed, that she was taken care of, that he was helping around the house. He worked from home, made sure that everything was as stable as he possibly could. And then that's the other thing I think has to do with the premeditation angle, is that when he went out to run those errands, she asked him to. She asked him to go get food. She asked him to go get the medication. So she asked him to leave the house on 2 errands that she knew would take at least 45 to an hour. Putting all of that together really looks like the prosecution has a strong case. Then we go to the other side, which is the Patrick did it, and his wife is actually the victim here. It was, he killed his kids and all that. There's no evidence whatsoever that that's true. None at all. Which is just, I mean, I have one of the stories pulled up that does go through some of it. So let's see. So I mean, this is from Brute. This is what does Patrick Clancy say about the whole thing. This is just a summary. Patrick has given a complicated account of his former wife and her mental health. He testified that Lindsay had struggled with her mental health before the killings. He also said she had previously spoken about suicidal thoughts and fears of harming the children. But on the day the children died, Patrick said she appeared to be doing much better. They had spent time together with the children and even built a snowman. He described it as one of her best days. Patrick has also publicly stated that he forgives Lindsay and views her as seriously ill rather than simply evil. Importantly, Patrick has never been a suspect in the children's deaths. So... see. Here we go. Why is the internet divided? Some people believe the case exposes serious gaps in the way postpartum mental illness is recognized and treated. Some supporters argue that the trial highlights gaps in how severe postpartum... that's just the same sentence twice. Others argue that discussions about Clancy's mental health risk shifting attention away from the 3 children who died. Others argue that discussions about Clancy's mental health risk... There's a lot of double sentences in this article. It's weird. Social media users have circulated theories accusing Patrick of involvement despite no evidence that he killed the children. CNN reported that some online theories have focused on details such as his DNA being found on exercise bands, while Patrick testified that he removed the bands from the children's body when he found them. But his DNA would also be on them if he used them.
Yeah, I feel like any DNA on the exercise bands is kind of inconclusive, considering they owned them and they were in their house. They would probably both have DNA on them.
Exactly. And I've seen a few videos on it, and that's part of the issue here with talking about what's the Patrick did it argument, is because there isn't one. There's 80. And they're all, he was probably just sick of dealing with Lindsay's mental illness, and men are more likely to leave wives when they're diagnosed with terminal illness than the other way around. And, maybe this was just his way of getting rid of her. Make it look like she did it, and then he's free. He doesn't have kids anymore. He doesn't have a wife anymore. You just start over as a new man. And I'm just sitting here like, maybe you do need to listen to the 911 call. Like, I mean, he was out of the house when it happened. Like, according to the defense. I don't know. I'm just looking over the whole case, and I'm just astonished and kind of disgusted. And I think the big reason here that this happens is I don't think that, like I said, I don't think this is a conspiracy. I think what it is that online court clips do really well, especially ones for major trials. So you grab a couple of moments where, maybe... and it could literally be one account that grabs a moment where Lindsay looks really guilty, one where she looks really innocent, and one where it's just, the prosecution looks bad. And the one where she looks guilty, that doesn't do very well because that's just mainstream news. But the one where she looks really innocent, the one where the prosecution looks really bad, those get bumped up. And then that 60-second to 3-minute clip is somebody's entire perspective on the case, which doesn't make for good analysis. I mean, like you're getting snippets of a trial. It's the same thing that happened with Johnny Depp and
Amber
Heard, where you're Most of it, you're seeing just little tidbits, and people are basing their entire opinion off it. Same thing with Tyler Robinson, Charlie Kirk. People, they had that preliminary hearing and hours. I mean, like thousands of pages of documents. Like, and you watched one 30-second clip where one witness said something? What about the rest of it? Did you watch the rest of the trial? That's why I haven't commented on it extensively. So I'm not watching it. I'm not paying attention to it all that much because I've got other stuff going on.
When people have asked me about it,
yeah,
I have said I do not have enough context to have an opinion on that.
Yeah. I mean, looking at that situation, I think it's... I mean... I kind of think it's another thing like with the Lindsay Clancy thing. If you ask somebody to explain how it is that Patrick did it, and you pull that apart enough, eventually you're going to get to the point where it's like, okay, well, I know Lindsay didn't say that's what happened, and I know that the defense didn't say that's what happened, and I know that that's not what the media says happened. I know that, there's no physical evidence of this whatsoever. But I'm going to believe it.
Well, this is actually relevant to something that we talked about a couple weeks ago, which you were bringing up the argument, and we were kind of going back.
Wait, I've just figured out what my point was. With Lindsay, it's not as centralized because there's no Candace Owens in it, but at least not in a major way, as with Tyler Robinson stuff. But there's a whole bunch of different theories floating around about it. None of them actually make sense. You strip them down enough, you're eventually going to get to the point where they don't make any sense whatsoever. And so I see it the same way as the Tyler Robinson thing. It's like, okay, give me the theory that makes this one seem less likely. Give me the theory that's better, which is what I do. That's what our channel is. I go and I look at stories and I say, all right, what was the official narrative? Is there a better theory? Is there one that fits more boxes? Is there something they missed? And so it's kind of the same with this. It's like if you can't tell me, and a lot of the conspiracy theorist side of things will be like, well, we're not making an argument. Like flat earthers, for example, they'll be like, we're not making the argument that we know how the earth is flat. We just know it's not round and it is flat. It's like as if that somehow absolves you of having to make an argument. Yep. And it's because for them, all it is it's they're used to these like Twitter debates where there's no consequence. There's no audience. I mean, you sit in front, if you went to like, debate con and had me and Whitsitt do a debate, the moment he says something along those lines, like, well, I don't have to explain my position, I just know yours is false. The moment that happens, he's getting laughed off stage. Yeah. Where it's like, okay, so basically what you're telling me is I presented you with all of this material evidence. You haven't refuted any of it. You've just said that it doesn't make sense and there's a better explanation out there, but you don't know what it is. And that's what we're seeing with Tyler Robinson. It's seeing with Lindsay Clancy. It's just, show me the better theory. You don't even have to prove it to me. I'm not even asking you to show me the evidence. I'm saying, show me the better theory. Well, and where was the second shooter? Where was the guy that wasn't Tyler? Or alternatively, if it wasn't Tyler, who was it? And then you look at the Lindsay Clancy thing. Okay, so we're going to argue that she didn't go downstairs and murder her children? What did happen? Who did it? Are there ring cameras? Do we know where Patrick was? Can we track his cell phone location? If he was at the store when this happened, it wasn't him. And that's the other thing about this too, is whenever a crime like this does happen, unfortunate as it is, the immediate prime suspect is the dad. Every time. Which means that if the police did not charge Patrick, they're very confident he's not involved. Sorry, if the prosecutor didn't charge him, then they're very sure. They are very confident this man was not involved in the deaths of his children. My guess is they have his cell phone location data. And that they're able to be like, okay, yeah, he was at the store.
They probably also have like security camera footage from the store.
Exactly. There's restaurant. In a case like this, they're going out and they're getting everything they possibly can. And this is Massachusetts. This isn't Taos, New Mexico. Yep. Like this isn't, Bryson City, North Carolina. This is Massachusetts. This is I think like was it Dartmouth suburb, a Boston suburb, something like that. It's like it's a wealthy suburban Massachusetts suburb. Like,
oh, I know. This is what I was bringing up a little bit earlier. Very similar to, it's actually a more reductionist version of what we've talked about previously, where people will form an idea and a theory based on that idea, and then reject mounds of evidence that then later come up.
Yeah, I've done that. I've been there.
Yeah, I know. But
and there was more evidence for my thing.
I know. And there's also, in these situations, there's often usually a more concrete theory that they're trying to defend. Now, I'm curious, and I don't want to push you in a place that might get you hot water. Why do you think this is a theory? And by theory, I mean, why do you think people believe the dad did it? And who do you think it is? I mean, obviously, it's a lot of people that are on social media.
It's vast majority women.
Do you think it's like a women's rights kind of thing?
I don't think so. I think it's a solidarity thing, maybe.
Maybe.
Like the idea that, they've... And again, I'm not saying this is all women. I know plenty of women who don't think Lindsay Clancy is innocent. But I think that there's a sense of solidarity there. And that mix of, I want to stand in solidarity with other women who are being accused of things by their husbands. Kind of that innate sense that, well, it's always the husband. And then on top of that, the social media aspect of out of context clips and people misrepresenting the story and things like that going on. And, they see that and then they're like, oh, well, what if it was the husband? Now they're at stage 2. It's like, okay, well, it could have been the husband. So that means Lindsay's innocent. Stage 3, solidarity. Again, this is not exclusive to women. It's just with this specific case, I think that's the situation. We also see this along ethnic lines. We see it along religious lines. We see it along even age lines sometimes.
Yeah, it's that innate sense of tribalism that keeps creeping itself up into people's psyche.
Yeah, your first thought usually is, I want to stand in solidarity with people like me. What if that was me right there? I would want people to support me, so I should. But because their premise is misinformed, they end up doing something they probably wouldn't have done otherwise. So I think that there's the propensity for solidarity, for seeking solidarity.
And at times that is valid.
Yeah.
There are times where women
definitely.
are being falsely accused.
Definitely.
For sure, yeah. But when you support somebody who's so obviously guilty, it then makes, when you are in solidarity with someone else who actually is innocent, it muddies the waters of that, and it makes that solidarity less important and less valuable.
This is, I mean, and again, not to, don't take this the wrong way. This is what happened with the Me Too movement. It started off as a very legit thing. Like, this is actual people in power are being exposed. They're going to jail. This is awesome. And then slowly it went from, Harvey Weinstein and some of the other people in Hollywood to people in the, C-suite level of business and media and then middle management and then the line cooks. And then it started off as like, these high profile cases that were spot on. And people were like, oh, wow, this is a real thing. This is a real thing. We got to believe these things when they happen. And then it did get down to a certain point where people were being accused because there was a hashtag. And if you didn't like somebody, you could use that hashtag to get their name in front of a lot of very angry people. And the truth, a lie makes it halfway around the world before the truth has a chance to tie its shoes. So, and I'm not saying Me Too is a bad thing. I'm saying that it was a good movement that unfortunately had got poisoned by people who wanted to use it as a weapon, basically.
And it's still in its initial intent is a good thing. And we should be holding these people accountable. It's just that the problem is there have now been introductions where there were false stories that now make it harder to verify the true stories when they come.
And I believe I said something about it at the time too, because I was like, look, I don't think I've gone into detail about this on this show. I'm not going to, but I'll just be, brief about it. As somebody who has experienced that, I saw some people who I knew for certain hadn't, because we'd talked about it. Getting accusing people who I'd opened up about this to.
When you say, can you give any level of specific?
This was in college.
No. In terms of what you opened up about.
What happened to me?
Okay, yeah. So I just wanted to make it clear because it wasn't clear prior to that.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, what happened to me? So
that you had experienced a level of assault.
Yeah, and I went out. I eventually did end up saying something, and here's the thing: I didn't even use his name. I didn't use it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody I went to high school with knew what I was talking about. But and here's the thing: not only did I not use his name, he was dead. He died of an overdose when we were freshmen in college.
Yeah.
So like, that one bugged me. That got to me a lot. That I was like, okay, this is something that I feel like we need to treat very seriously. This needs to be sacred to us. If somebody is accused of this, they better have done it.
Yeah.
I think that there's this tendency of like once a movement hits a certain point on the internet, there's too many bad actors out there, and somebody's going to start using a good thing for evil. I actually saw somebody I knew had done that to somebody say that somebody had done it to them. Might have been true. But it was a little ironic the way the post was written. I was like, really? You? You want remorse over this? Yeah, but I mean, with just bringing it back around to the main point of the show with Lindsay, I think that there's this social contagion is a real thing. Like we have isolated incidents of it throughout history. Like the dancing madness for one might have been one. That also might have been ergot.
What? Sorry?
The dancing madness. In medieval Europe and I think the 1300s, there were a few instances where people, like entire communities just danced until they died. I think it might have been like ergot poisoning.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And what is ergot?
It's a mold that grows on wheat, rye, something like that. Yeah, it's a grass mold.
Interesting.
And it has hallucinogenic effects, and it can do other things too, like make you dance until you literally die. But I think more recently we've seen, you can see some of the social contagion stuff really popping up on the internet with things like the Tyler Robinson thing, with things like Lindsey Clancy, where just once something gets enough traction, people want to be a part of it. And I think there's also some sense of like self-righteousness in there with this too, because look, if you're wrong and Lindsay did it, okay, well, that all the evidence suggested that was the case. Like, that was dumb. But after that, everybody forgets. But if Lindsay does turn out to be innocent, and not for any of the reasons you initially thought, but just she does, you have that sense of like, I knew it. I always knew there was something there. I knew they were lying to us, and that just reinforces it further. So I don't like what's happening. And I think there needs to be some sort of adjustment, but I don't know what kind of adjustment that would be or how it would be achieved. But the Lindsay Clancy thing really has made me think about it more seriously than I have in the past. And that it's kind of got me worried. Because I'm like, once AI is pumping out realistic nonsense, it's like truly indistinguishable, how many people are just going to believe things, especially because regular conspiracy theorists, let's say you're a pretty average intelligence guy, but you're convinced of a conspiracy theory and you want to go out and prove it. You usually don't. Good luck. Like, it's not going to happen.
I mean, there are the amount of just full AI profiles I see on TikTok now, and I wouldn't be shocked if we're very much nearing the point where like
dead internet theory.
Yeah, even beyond that though, like I know I don't really use it anymore now because I don't have the time for it, but I know there's a lot of people who communicate with people on Discord and almost solely on Discord. I wouldn't be shocked if there are people right now.
Oh, there's got to be
that think they're in relationships with somebody over Discord that don't exist.
Yeah,
like just not even that they're somebody using a voice changer. Like they are
straight up AI.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, it's deeply disturbing seeing the trend of the direction things are moving. And what I was going to say about the AI versus conspiracy theorist, if you're an average intelligence guy, you might be able to put together a coherent argument for your theory. AI is going to go find CIA documents confirming it. It doesn't matter that the CIA documents were generated by the AI.
Yep.
Like that's Jim Bob is not going to be able to adequately replicate a classified CIA document to the point that it could not be figured out that it's fake. An AI can, especially if it's in a video where you can't go find the metadata. And the thing is, it doesn't have to prove it. It can be completely falsifiable. It can be something where, video like that, I could probably do it in 10 minutes on TikTok. Just be like, all right, here's why this is wrong. This source doesn't exist. This source is wrong. This source doesn't say what he says it says. This source is unreliable. Like, just grab them. But in the 10 minutes it takes me to make that video has been on the internet for 3 weeks. And it's got 80 million views or 1 billion views or something like that. And lies halfway around the world. So you need more people counter-signaling it. But
I think dead internet theory is going to be an element of it, but I also think we are going to go full circle back to legacy media. I think
do too.
That level of there is some element of authority and some element. Legacy media is essentially going to be the secular version of apostolic succession. It's a way to essentially ensure that the information that you're getting is legitimate. The problem is that we had this, what we now know was somewhat intentionally manufactured based off of stuff that's in the files, total destruction of the legitimacy of legacy media.
Oh yeah, with Epstein and the 4chan stuff.
And so now, there's a lot of people who don't believe in legacy media, where it's like, yeah, okay, every media outlet is going to have some level of bias to some degree. We also are well informed enough now to generally know where those biases go. So you can read that with that informed mentality of I'm reading the Wall Street Journal. It leans slightly conservative, but it's mostly center. I'm reading the New York Times. This is going to lead a bit left, but generally it's relatively decent. Oh, I'm reading CNN. It's decently left. Oh, it's MSNBC. This might as well be propaganda.
Yeah.
Same thing with
One
Fox.
American News. And
yeah. And it's so you're going to...
It is crazy how overblown the Fox's, hard right biased thing is. I don't watch Fox much anymore, so I can't comment on right now. But I know that 2016 through 2022, when I would be kind of scanning around the news channels and everything, don't get me wrong, Fox was definitely biased. But I felt like if CNN's here, they're here. And the middle's here.
100%. Well,
Fox is the right-wing CNN.
Correct. No, I'd be surprised if there's anybody that disagrees with that, because Fox is pretty establishment Republican. They still haven't even necessarily caught up with MAGA. Yeah. They support Trump generally, but at the same time,
they kicked Tucker off.
Yeah. So they're in a weird spot, but I would fully agree with CNN, and that is kind of.
And then you got One American News, and what's the other one? Newsmax.
Yeah. Well, then also you have what is it, Daily Wire and Breitbart.
Yeah.
Does Breitbart even exist anymore?
I don't know.
And it's weird now though, because you have different people who were in the alt-right sphere now branching out in wildly different directions.
It's been really weird watching Shapiro go full neocon.
Yeah.
While some people on the left have now ended up at a position where they're almost fascist. And you're like,
what was the one?
Destiny.
No. Who's the one? The woman who was on the Young Turks.
Anna Kasparian.
Yeah, Anna Kasparian.
She's come around now, and
she's borderline conservative, if not just independent.
Yeah,
and she was hard left 10 years ago. I don't know where Cenk is.
Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff.
Yeah, everybody's
shifting
moving around.
Everything's different from where it was 10 years ago.
Which just goes to show that people change their minds pretty consistently.
You know who I got to give some credit to? Because he's just been consistent. Fuentes.
Yeah.
I hate him. But good on him for remaining steady, for staying the course.
At the same time, there's a lot of people who are being he went the full horseshoe. He went so far right, he went left.
Well, see, I look at that as, you see it as a horseshoe. I see it as he did that.
Yeah.
He was already there.
Yeah.
That was the... He didn't do that.
Yeah, he didn't take the long path. He took.
There was no moment where Nick Fuentes was like, does it violate the NAP? It didn't happen.
Yeah.
So I got to give him some respect for that.
He took, instead of the long path, he took the short jump.
Yeah. Also, off topic aside, least enjoyable conservative personality I've ever hung around. Easily Tomi Lahren.
Who?
Tomi Lahren.
No idea who that is.
She was the original blonde Trump girl. I ran into her at a bar in DC. Of course, it was during CPAC, so I'm like, I know who that is. And she was not very friendly. I stole a Hillary Clinton poster from Turning Point. They had a life-size cutout of Hillary Clinton, and I stole it and ran across into the bar across the street.
Incredible.
I was not in Turning Point. I was in Yale. That was my shot across the bow. Man, I miss those days. Not the being poor or going to school or any of that, but the tomfoolery. At 19, you can steal a Hillary Clinton cutout from a bar and then sneak into another bar despite being underage across the street and hide in the bathroom while the police come confiscate it from your friends. At 28, I might get arrested for that.
It also just feels weird.
It does, but like it was whimsical.
Yeah.
There was some whimsy in the world.
There's some childlike innocence involved with the previous.
Yeah, I miss that. That's the part I miss, is not the ridiculous politics of all of it, which was just so crazy. And
well, it's all a circus. It's all a circus.
Yeah.
It's all a show.
Yeah, and nobody's actually trying to succeed at anything. I keep bringing this up. I got kicked out of Turning Point USA as a vice president of a large campus chapter and a founder for trying to set up a meeting with the NAACP to fight racism on campus. My understanding when I joined that organization was that we're basically right libertarians. We believe in equality. We believe in judging people on the merits of their skills and their character and all of that. That's what all this is about for us. That's the free markets part. It's like, free markets, the best producers will rise to the top, and that'll be good for everybody. And we can, I did spend a couple of years studying economics in college. I know it's not that simple. My point is that, that was kind of the general gist was we want free speech, we want free markets, we want free people. And so when I saw these white identitarian posters going up on campus, and actually, I'm pretty sure I knew who was putting them up, I was like, all right, well, since I'm part of the, of the campus political organizations, I'm part of the right sphere. Like I am perceived as being over here. This could be a really good bridge. This could be a good way to start dialogues and to say, hey, even though you guys are a bunch of anarcho-communists, that's not the whole NAACP, but that campus chapter was. Even though you guys are literally anarcho-communists, we do have some common ground, and we could work on those things together. The things that we both want, why don't we work on those? Why don't we try to improve those? And then maybe through working together, we'll learn to understand each other better, and then we'll come to compromises and agreements, and we'll learn to live in harmony. And that was kind of how I was looking at it, and that's exactly how the VP of the NAACP chapter felt. We had a great conversation. He was a bigger black guy. I'm a smaller white guy. We just sat and had a chat about it, and we were like, all right, cool. This is awesome. Let's try and find a time to meet. We'll get our presidents involved. And the second that got back to Turning Point, I was basically told I was out, which was upsetting because it was kind of a moment where I was like, I at the time, I assumed that Kylie, the president of the chapter, had lied about what happened or had in some way had made it sound like I did something I didn't do. The more I learned, the more I realized that, nope, she told them exactly what happened. Now, to be fair, I don't think it was necessarily the race part of it. I've kind of half-jokingly said Turning Point kicked me out for racism a bunch of times, or not being racist enough a bunch of times. What I think it was probably insubordination. From the email exchanges she sent me, it appears that the official reasoning was insubordination. But yeah, that was how I got kicked out of Turning Point. I tried to save it. I stayed in the club the next year, even though we unanimously voted to impeach Kylie and keep me as president. But I stayed in for the next year. Just tried to kind of reel it back. Mikey helped a lot with that. Couldn't do it. Started Yal the following year. Ran that until COVID. Crazy times.
Yep.
But, with all the ridiculousness and kind of, feeling like you're getting attacked on all sides, it was fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Well, but then looking back at it, it's kind of sad because, every politician we talk to or anybody who's, in this political spheres all says the same thing. And it's like, the party divide is just for the show.
Yeah, like we had lunch with Katie Muth last week.
Yep.
Um,
She said on this show.
yeah, she said on this show earlier this year. Yes, Democratic state senator from Pennsylvania. And actually, hopefully, saying a prayer somehow our next governor.
Yeah.
Because
I've been
God,
seeing
the other
signs.
two candidates suck.
Yeah.
God, they suck. The Republican is awful and the Democrat is awful. And Katie Muth, I'm like, you cursed on my podcast. I like you.
Yeah.
And
you got kicked out of a bunch of committees.
you got kicked out of a bunch of committees. Exactly. You're trying to fight the data centers. You know, you're agreeing to come and sit down and have lunch with two 28-year-olds who are like, hey, here's how we think you should run your campaign. Which is not what happened. We had a conversation about rail and nuclear energy and things like that. It was actually very productive. I would love to spend some more time working on that stuff with actual legislators to hopefully get some stuff passed through. But yeah, it is crazy how much of it really is just for show. And I've seen that going on political podcasts and being in the green room with people, and like you can kind of tell. I did debates in college where I was going up against people on the left, and it was, during it it's we're all rah and going after each other, and then afterwards we're all having a drink together. Like 90% of the division you're seeing from politicians and personalities and all of that is fake.
Mm-hmm.
It's fake.
There's a reason they call it political theater.
Yep. I think one of the few people who wasn't fake about it was Clinton. Because I think she was trying, but she was just so bad at it. Pulling out the hot sauce in Atlanta was nuts. That was crazy.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
I think it was the 2016 campaign trail. She was down in Atlanta and started speaking with like a southern accent. I think it was Atlanta. It might have been somewhere else in the South. It was a majority black crowd. Speaking with a southern accent and then telling them all how she, she loves spicy food and she keeps a bottle of Tabasco in her purse and, the stereotype about black people and hot sauce. So you're like, did you just use a racial stereotype to try and earn the votes of the people that stereotype is against? I mean, it's not a negative stereotype necessarily. Like, if that was true, I would be going to black people at bars and be like, yo, man, can I get some hot sauce? You want some of my mayonnaise? Like, keep some pocket mayonnaise. We can do some trades. But, yeah, it's all theater. It's all fake. It's all for show. And, somehow this is still on topic because that's the same thing with all these fucking trials.
There is, who was it? What is his name?
Everything you're seeing about Lindsey Clancy, Tyler Robinson, everything you saw about Casey Anthony, it was all a show. It was all theater. I mean, there were real things happening, but your perception of it, unless you're one of the few people who was like watching everything, your perception of it was probably false.
In the same vein as the Clinton thing, have you seen the deep history stuff about Senator, John Kennedy?
Not history stuff, but I think he's hilarious. He's the funniest man in the Senate.
He did not used to have a Southern accent.
What? How long has he lived in Louisiana?
He's from there. But supposedly, I think. But like there are political videos.
Might he have been gonna get woke on you? Might he have been code switching?
I think he's code switching now.
He might be. I'd be more inclined to believe that he was code switching when he didn't sound Southern.
Yes, but there's like possibly, but there are a lot of early documentations of him like speaking where he has none whatsoever in like informal settings.
Yeah.
Not like really public settings. And then as he started more seriously running for office, over time his Southern accent got stronger and stronger. Yeah. He's also doing...
I mean, it could have just been more public speaking, and when you're public speaking, you're paying attention to how your voice sounds more, so you're, where am I from? I'm from Louisiana. Okay, I'm going to make sure I've got my twang in there.
Well, that's the thing. He's actively choosing to do that. Also, well,
I think
he's clip farming for views on video.
Oh, for sure, YouTube, but because he's funny. Have you seen his clips?
I have, yeah.
Oh, my God. Dude is hilarious. But I think we all do that, though, a little bit, to an extent, like, based on where we are and who we're with. Like, if I'm hanging out with people from, like, Philly, more words that are Philadelphian start to come out.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's definitely a part of that.
There's going to be a little bit more, wooder.
It's definitely a psychological phenomenon that absolutely happens, but there are certain instances where, like what you're saying with Clinton, it's more of a deliberate choice.
It's called revertigo.
Revertigo, yeah. But there are instances often used by politicians where it's very much deliberate choice.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, Clinton.
Yeah.
In the South with the hot sauce.
Yep.
Kamala somehow developing a Southern black accent. She's from California. It is funny. I'm trying to think of a conservative who's done it. Somebody must have, other than Kennedy. Because I don't know if Kennedy's doing it. I haven't seen the older videos.
Yeah, it seems like he is. For other conservatives that have done it, I wouldn't be shocked if a lot of the Southern conservatives are doing it.
I will say, I think Massey has sounded more Kentucky lately. But I do think that's the reverse. I think he was probably trying to sound less Kentucky before.
Wouldn't be shocked.
And now he's speaking more. I don't think he's from Kentucky, but now he's speaking more like the people he lives around.
Yeah, there's definitely some people that I think have done that on both sides of the aisle, and I think it's because of the exact reason that we're kind of inferencing, or inferring that we're not.
Well, also it's long ago, that was a much easier thing to get away with.
Yeah. There's a lot of things you can't get away with as well today that you used to be able to do even just 50 years ago.
Like letting out one ill-timed, rather awkward scream and losing the 2004 primary.
Are we going to get taken by the White House? Yeah!
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Or having a binder full of women.
What was his name? Howard Dean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having a binder full of women. That's actually a very feminist thing to have, but when they say it the way they said it, it sounds bad.
Who were you referring to?
Romney.
Oh.
When they were asking about, like...
I was thinking of Hitchcock.
No, when Romney was asked at one point if he... Like, were there any female people he was considering for his cabinet? He said, like, kind of sarcastically, like, I got binders full of women. Like, the whole point was, yeah, there's women in the resume stack. Mm-hmm. Like, we're looking at both. We plan on hiring women. Granted, this is 2012, so it's, longer ago when that was actually kind of a question that needed to be asked.
Yeah.
Now we know there's going to be a woman somewhere.
Yeah.
Back then, not necessarily. Which is crazy that it wasn't that long ago, 14 years. But yeah, Mitt Romney said he's got binders full of women, and based on the percentage he lost by, I think that might have done it. Because the left-wing media was like, look at him, this Mormon talking about his binders full of women. Come on, guys. And it's like, that was a pretty brutal spin you guys just did there.
It's amazing how frequently that happens, that people will take one thing, run with it with, like, vague context, and be able to influence things so dramatically.
Yeah. Then you got Trump, who's just saying weird stuff now. Like, didn't he say we got attacked by Iran or Japan, or that like Japan attacked us or we attacked Japan? It's called like the Islamic Republic of Japan.
Probably.
It's like, yeah, it's a flub, but yikes.
You can't really afford to flub as the president of the United States.
It is kind of scary how our last, technically 3 presidents, but our last 2 presidents at least, you're like, man, that guy's definitely not all there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't be doing that.
How are these the candidates?
Yeah. How are these the best we have?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think...
well, it's exactly what happened in 2016 with Hillary and Tulsi. Tulsi was doing really well, and then Hillary essentially forbade her from being in
no
DNC.
Okay, maybe... Are you thinking about 2016 or 2020?
2016.
Tulsi wasn't running in 2016.
All right, 2020 then.
It was 2020, and what happened was, yes, Clinton did not want her in, but also... rather than, this was a few debates in, rather than, playing to, to the audience or trying to raise her poll numbers, she recognized she was not going to be the president of the United States and said, fuck you, Kamala Harris, and just torpedoed her.
So she did that right after she found out that she was no longer going to be allowed to run by the DNC.
Oh.
That's why she did that.
I thought it was the other way around.
No, she did that because she had just been told that day that essentially is like, no matter what you do, you're not getting the nomination.
Okay, I thought it was the other way around. That's even funnier.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause at that point, she's like, all right, well, that's the moment when she's decided, like, I'm not going to be a Democrat after this. Fuck you guys.
Yeah, which is... I also hate what the Republicans did to Rand Paul in 2015.
Yeah, that's the thing, is both sides do it.
It was really funny, though, that they relegated him to the secondary stage because there were that many candidates that they had 2 debates. And they relegated him to the secondary stage, and rather than doing it, he just hosted his own event, and it got more views. I was like...
I'm starting to feel like primaries are kind of a problem. I'm starting to feel like primaries are kind of a problem.
What do you mean?
Well, if we didn't have primaries, like, Tulsi wouldn't have had to deal with
I thought you said prime areas. I was like...
No, primaries. Like,
you still got to pick somebody somehow.
Well, that's the thing, is imagine if you were able to do ranked choice voting for either side of the aisle.
Oh, no, I don't worry. I fully agree with you.
Yeah. No, but just as a point, not necessarily for you, but for the general audience, is like, why are we limiting ourselves to 2 people during the final election? Like, why would we not get to choose whoever the hell we want?
Well, we have more, just nobody votes for them.
Well, but that's the problem is, like, within an individual party, you have one.
Yeah.
It's like you should be able to choose for the Republican or Democrat that you want to vote for. It shouldn't be determined for you based off of the primary, considering that, it turns out, based on historical evidence, the primary is not necessarily who the voters want.
Yeah.
It's who the DNC or the RNC wants.
That is another distinction, though, that I think is important. I don't know how we got to this topic, but, anyway, the RNC primary is whoever gets the most delegates.
Mm-hmm.
The DNC primary is whoever gets the most delegates and super delegates. Aiden, do you know what super delegates are?
Remind me.
You want to take a guess?
I'm assuming...
Think about how the delegates work. They're based off of the caucuses and the primaries and how many people voted for who, right?
Mm-hmm.
Based on a certain proportion of the voting populace, you get a delegate.
Mm-hmm.
How do you assign a super delegate? It's whoever the DNC wants. Which is how Hillary won the primary in 2016. It was going to be Bernie. And then the super delegates tanked it.
I would have loved to have seen Bernie versus Trump.
We've done that.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, we did that for a drinking stream once.
Yeah, I forgot about that, yeah.
Choice. All right. Well, when it comes to the Lindsay Clancy thing, obviously trial's still ongoing. I try not to comment on ongoing things for that reason. That being said, we might put out a video on where we are so far with this.
Considering we talked more about the conspiracies rather than the trial in this video.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I want to do, because I have done cursory research on this for the moment, but I might ask Bethany to do that one, because that might be up her wheelhouse than mine, and that gives me time to focus on JonBenet.
Also prevents you from getting criticism about being a male viewpoint.
That's true.
A female element. So
yeah. Before you criticize anything I say in this video, it was written by a woman. Yeah. Honestly, not a bad idea. Yeah, well, I guess that about does it. I gotta go pick out a wedding band.
Maybe the libertarians were right.
Maybe the Mormon libertarians were right.